Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And welcome back to the Weird Science Comics YouTube channel, where I'm going to be going through Future State Wonder Woman #1. This is written and art by Joelle Jones, and it's the Yara Flor book that everybody has been waiting for. I mean, Yara Flor ends up being announced. You get the character design, you get the description of her, and people went wild. They ended up going so wild that DC already set up a TV show with her. We'll see if that comes out. Now, before we go into this, I want to say that I wish that DC would have put the timeline of the Future State books in these books, or at least tell you when these books are taking place. Because if you're not aware, Future State deals with a lot of different times. You end up going from, say, 5 years ahead in the Bat Family books to 10 years ahead in the Superman book with John as Superman, where he bottled the city of Metropolis. This book takes place in 2050. And I wish that they spelled that out, because that means you're not going to get the same things as the other. And I like that, because this is an isolated book, and I like to see Yara Flor just doing her stuff here in the Amazon. And what you get is this narration of, with all the different gods and all the different things that have gone down, the world needs a hero. And Yara Flor may not be the hero that they want, but she's the hero they need. And she is pretty kick-ass. She's very, impatient. She's very impulsive. She's going to be a lot different than a Wonder Woman, who is more refined compared to her. And one of the things I saw where people were upset a little, saying, well, that kind of goes with the stereotype of the hot-headed Latina. Yeah, but no, I like this. I like that you're getting, and it's making me want to know more about who or what she trained, all this stuff leading to this point. Obviously has the armor on, is obviously very capable as she is fighting a Hydra. And so I like to see more of that, but she's pretty kick-ass. She's lopping heads off this Hydra. She's going to town with it, thinks that she has won, thinks that she has defeated the Hydra. Unfortunately, that's not how Hydras work, it seems, and it springs back to life. And now she is in trouble, and she's yelling for Jerry. Now, Jerry is her Pegasus, who ends up, he's drinking water downstream there, way away from Yara. She's desperate, keeps yelling for him. And again, that shows that she is impulsive. She just went to fight this Hydra thinking, and also might be, I wouldn't say arrogant, but very confident, saying, Hydra, what's that? I'm going to defeat it. Ends up thinking she did, and now she's in hot water. She needs Jerry. Jerry does show up, and her and Jerry end up defeating the Hydra. They end up fighting, and again, the art is incredible. Joelle Jones' art is so good. And they end up, defeating the Hydra, and then you have Yara starting to cut the horn off it, telling Jerry, she can talk to Jerry. It's a very Han Solo Chewbacca deal, where she's like, I know, Jerry, stop you complaining. This is something that we're going to have to do. This is serious stuff. I understand. And it is serious stuff, because she is doing something that we find out is not supposed to be done in the Amazon forest here, the rainforest, where you have a Kapora show up. And it's like, what do you think you're doing? What do you think you're doing there? And it's a good little deal with Yara. And I like the combination. I like the interactions between the Kapora and Yara, where, I'm going to go, and Yara's trying to explain herself. I'm going to go down to, the underworld. I'm going to tell Hades, listen, you're going to give back my warrior sister. Now, remember, these are Amazon things. The warrior sister is probably just like another Amazon, not really her sister, but we'll see. And I'm going to say, give me back my warrior sister. And if he doesn't, I'm going to stab him right in the chest with this horn. The problem is that's all her plan is. As we go, we see she has no other part of this plan, like how to get down to the underworld, how to get to Hades, all that. But she thinks she's got a plan. Now, the Kaipora says you can't do that. And this is a really good deal to add into this. Kapora, it's a Portuguese word, but it's a entity of the Tupi-Guarani mythology in Brazil. And they are there to protect the rainforest and the creatures of it. So it makes sense. Now, in that, you end up having, and it can be a boy and a girl at points, all of that. She's cute as a button. I mean, look at it. It's so cute. And when you end up having it, she even says, as they go back and forth, because Yara's like, really, like, you end up screwing me up so much in the past. I hate your guts. I'm not going to listen to you. And the Kapora's like, well, you keep doing nonsense. And at one point, they even mentioned a past deal. And the Kapora says, hey, I had just given up smoking. I was a little irritated. I was a little edgy. And it seems like a weird line, maybe as a joke, but it's more than a joke because the Kapora are a entity that goes around on their little animals that look like warthogs going around smoking cigars. Now, when I think that may have happened, this is just me thinking that Joelle Jones may have wanted to have that. You know, let's go real with the deal. And DC said, yeah, I don't know that what looks like a little girl. She is an immortal, you know, a sprite type deal, but you can't have what looks like a little girl smoking a cigar, so don't do it. But Joelle Jones wants to make sure that she understands the Kapora and isn't just, you know, doing this because of ignorance. She's doing it because maybe they weren't allowed. And it's a funny joke as well. But the Kapora says, listen, don't do this to this horn. Please, you don't have to do this. I can take you to the underworld. Leave that there. And you can't bring Jerry. Jerry's not allowed in. He's going to have to stay. Jerry's probably just going to go back to that water and just stand there and drink. Now, one of the things that I was not taken aback, but I'm like, well, Yara, your big plan was to have this horn because if things went wrong with Hades, you'd stab him with it. You're going without that. Also, you realize she had no plan on how to get to she didn't know how to get to the underworld. So she also doesn't understand how the underworld works, which will throw her off in a little bit. Again, this is stressing the idea of her not thinking things through, being very impulsive. My first read through, I really thought of her as, well, you're kind of dumb, but it's more of an impulsiveness, I guess. We talked about this on our podcast, and my co-host Eric Shea, he convinced me then that this is more impulsiveness. When she goes down with the Kapora into the underworld, you're going to get an extended scene that's very humorous. It threw me off at first. Again, I've read this a bunch of times. Each time I read it, I get a little more okay with things. What you do is have an underworld that's pretty much an airport deal of Beetlejuice. It's a Beetlejuice airport where you got to fill out the paperwork. The Kapora will take care of that. You have Yara. She's going to go through. She hits a turnstile. It doesn't go. It's locked. She rips it apart. Now, the thing that there's no repercussions here for her actions kind of threw me off. It's kind of then a forced joke. It's kind of a forced way to show that she's impatient. I mean, really, you're there with the Kapora. You're going in. You're going to need her still. And yet Yara just flips out and rips off this turnstile so that she can walk in and nobody bats an eye. But you do get a very Beetlejuice-esque feel of this, where you see a bunch of dead people with various states of how they died, things like that, to go down to the ferryman that's going to take them to Hades, to the underworld, all this stuff. And Yara didn't bring any coins. And everybody knows you got to pay the ferryman. Haven't you heard the song? I mean, seriously. And you had the Kapora. What? You didn't bring money? I didn't know I had to. I'm like, she had no plan whatsoever and no clue what's going on. So she gets sent to the back of the line, as if the back of the line has something where she can work for some money. What's she going to set? Is she going to sell T-shirts or something? She gets the back of the line, so she still needs coins. And then she ends up seeing a sumo wrestler ahead of her with a coin. This is obviously just the setup to have a gag to get the coin. And these are the things that make my score come down from what other people were saying about this. A lot of people giving this a perfect score, but a lot of people pass out perfect scores like they're candy on Halloween. So yeah, and really, a lot of them set up that bowl where it's just take one and you can take all the tens. But you have a sumo wrestler ahead and you have the gag where the Kapora's warthog ends up biting the butt of the sumo wrestler. The coin goes up in the air. Yara grabs it and into the deal we go. And it's not just into the let's go to the underworld. We have to have a fight now because now all mayhem's going off, and we end the issue with Yara seemingly going to fight Cerberus. So that is bad news. We'll see how that works out. But I like this for Yara. Yara Flor is a really, really interesting character. It's something that is so different from Wonder Woman, not even just the idea of different gods and things, but even an attitude. She's more of a, let's kick ass Amazon, not a refined Amazon. And I like that. I think that's cool. I like Kapora therewith, and I want to see more of Jerry. The thing is, we don't have a lot of issues with just this Wonder Woman. Hopefully the characters carry on and all the other things that she does. But those are different timeline stuff. Not timeline, I keep saying that, but different years that go on there. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I think it's worth picking up. I think that Yara is a really, really cool character. I want to see more of her. I want to see more of her background, all of that stuff as we go forward. So that's that. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this. As I always say, please subscribe to the channel. Give it a like. Look at the notes below with all of our podcasts and websites. Weird Science has DC and Marvel podcast and websites. We should probably combine some of those things, but we're dummies. But hey, that's just us. But yeah, check those out, and I'll talk to you later.